Vacations. TsukkiYamaKageHina. Oi, Hinata Dame, stop it! Then stop it yourself, idiot! Kageyama and Hinata were sitting in the backseat of the car. They had previously had a fight about who had to sit where. It was absolute bullshit, Tsukishima thought. One had to sit on the right side and one on the left. In his opinion, there was nothing to fight over. Can you two please settle in? I want to go. I can't! I'm stuck! Hinata cried. Somehow he and Kageyama got themselves tangled up in their seatbelts. Tsukishima had no idea how the hell they did that, but he didn't even wonder anymore. He knew them for too long. Tsukishima sighed. Dumbass, it's all your fault! Not true, Kageyama. We wouldn't be stuck if you hadn't tried to climb over me. You were in the way. You could have just got outed around the car to the other side. Yamaguchi, please do something. Tsukishima was slowly losing patience. Not that he had any in the beginning. But Yamaguchi was no help. He just burst out laughing and Tsukishima let out another sigh. Of course, he was the only sane person here. I will count to 3, he said, his voice dangerously calm, hands clenched around the wheel. And if I turn around after that, I swear to God, you two better sit on your proper seats. Buckled up. Yamaguchi chuckled even more, but Tsukishima turned to him. The same's for you, Yamaguchi. Sorry, Tsuki, he grinned. Hinata, that's my seatbelt! No, it's not! 1. A muffled scream could be heard from the back seats. This is ridiculous, Tsukishima thought. 2. Yamaguchi, please help! Hinata cried. Yamaguchi, who had just calmed down, started laughing again, but he climbed to the back seats and tried to untangle these two idiots. 3. Yamaguchi, no! Yamaguchi, yes! Tsukishima sighed. Why did his counting never had any impact on his friends? Yams, I can't move! Tsukishima looked through the rear view mirror only to see Hinata untangled but stuck in his own seatbelt. Yamaguchi, he said, as much as I appreciate the idea of strangling Hinata. Hey! Hinata pouted. Can you please buckle him up correctly so we can finally go? Yes, sorry, Tsuki, he snickered. Finally, it felt like ages. Everyone was in their proper seats and Tsukishima pulled out of the driveway. Kageyama was dozing off, Hinata looked out of the window excitedly, and Yamaguchi was on his phone, still grinning. Tsukishima had exactly 3 minutes and 23 seconds of peace. Can we turn on music? Hinata leaned forward. No. Why not? Just no. Please, Tsuki. Don't call me that. Tsuki! Do you want me to kick you out? I can stop and leave you on that sidewalk, you know. Sorry. No, 2 minutes later, Yamaguchi looked up from his phone. I'm hungry. Also, I liked Hinata's idea. We could need some music. Yamaguchi, we started like 5 minutes ago. How can you be hungry? Tsukishima stared at him concerned. Yamaguchi shrugged. I don't know. I'm growing. No. What? No to all of that. We won't eat, we won't turn music, and you're not growing. You're 18! Of course I'm growing. I'm a late bloomer. That is a horrible word. I could eat something too, Kageyama suddenly said. No! What the fuck is wrong with all of you? Tsukishima started to doubt his decisions. And don't say you're growing too, he added when Kageyama opened his mouth. I don't care if you're all growing. You could have eaten enough at home. But that was ages ago, Hinata commented. 15 minutes. We had food 15 minutes ago. Please, can somebody tell me why I'm going on vacation with you again? You love us. You want to take the opportunity to drown us at the beach. Also, we just graduated. I think it was the second point, Tsukishima muttered. Take you like a drug, a taste You on my tongue. They were on their way for a few hours now. Yamaguchi was driving and eventually they had turned on music. Yamaguchi didn't listen to any of Tsukishima's complaints. I'm driving so I get to decide, he had said. Go ahead and cry, little girl. Nobody does it like you do. I know how much it matters to you. I know that you got daddy issues. Tsukishima decided that music was not good for Yamaguchi, for he had singing the whole time. No one had dared to criticize his taste in music, but Tsukishima thought it was interesting. Not that he didn't knew that before. He had tried to at least turn on other music, but Yamaguchi had just slapped his hand away from the phone. I love that she got daddy issues, and I do too. Tsukishima sighed. He turned to the bag. Hinata, can you give me my backpack? Why? Just give it to me. It's in the back of the car. Why the hell is it in the back of the car? Kageyama put it there the last time we did a break. Kageyama. Tsukishima tried to stay calm. It was in the way and I thought you didn't need it. Kageyama bit into his bun. You didn't need it the whole time. My headphones are in there, and my laptop, and my money. Of course I was going to need it. Kageyama shrugged. Why didn't you take it to the front with you then? Never mind, just give me my backpack. Tsukishima took a deep breath. He was going to survive this trip, he told himself. How are we supposed to give you your backpack? It's in the bag. Have you not heard what I said? I don't care. Climb over the seats or something like that. What? Hinata stared at him in dismay. We're driving! You've done way crazier shit than this. Don't encourage him, Yamaguchi said from beside Tsukishima. If we're going to have an accident because I can't see shit, it's all your fault. No, Tsukishima replied. It would be your fault because if you didn't have to listen to this music, then I won't need my headphones. I don't take criticism, and you're driving, so you decide. I know, but that's why I need my headphones now, which are in the backpack. That is certain person here. He looked at Kageyama. Stuff to the back of the car, so Hinata, would you be so good and get me my backpack? Why do I have to do it? Kageyama put them... You're small. Kageyama didn't even hesitate. I'm not small, I'm growing! For the love of God, you are 19, Hinata. You're literally the oldest of oldest, even though I don't like to admit that. But you're not growing anymore. No one of us is growing anymore. I'm growing, Yamaguchi said. No, Tsukishima facepalmed. But still, I'm not small. But you're the smallest out of us four. Tsukishima just wanted his headphones so he could rest for just a moment. Okay, I'm gonna do it. Hinata crawled out of his seat and soon he was hanging there, head in the back of the... I'm gonna reread that. I'm gonna just cut it out. Okay, I'm gonna do it. Hinata crawled out of his seat and soon he was hanging there, head in the back of the car, feet held by Kageyama so Hinata wouldn't fall over. I got it! Hinata shouted and tried to get up, which eventually ended with him landing on Kageyama and Yamaguchi screaming because he couldn't see. Tsukishima grabbed his backpack and when he put on his headphones he finally was in peace, or at least for a few minutes. Hinata, don't take your eyes off the road! Tsukishima looked frightened. He knew that Hinata hadn't had his driver's license for long, but right now he was scared for his life. How the hell did that guy pass the test? Tsukishima looked at his phone. Oh, you have to turn right. Hinata made an indefinable noise and turned the wheel. Fuck it! Hinata made an indefinable noise. Hinata made an indefinable noise. Hinata made an indefinable noise and turned... Fuck it! Hinata made an indefinable noise and turned the wheel suddenly. Yamaguchi screamed and fell against Kageyama. Tsukishima held to the car door as if his life depends on it. What the fuck was that, Hinata? What the fuck was that, Hinata? Yamaguchi said, still lying on top of Kageyama. It was Tsukishima's fault. If he weren't such a bad navigator, I wouldn't have to make that drastic turn. I thought we agreed that he was the only one that could get us to the hotel. We did, Kageyama replied, but that didn't have to mean that he was good. Do you want to navigate, Hinata? Tsukishima asked, and held the phone to Kageyama. No, fine, thanks. Then don't criticize me. Tsuki, we nearly died! Don't overreact, Yamaguchi. You were scared too. Your face literally screamed of panic. It did not. Did not. Tsukishima, I don't know where to go! Oh yeah, sorry. Tsukishima concentrated on the road again. I think it's there. What's there? Hinata had a confused look on his face. Behind that street sign on the right side. That big building. Oh, okay. Do you have any idea where we should park? Hinata slowed down. On their website it said that they had a parking lot. Oh, I think it's an underground car park. We're finally here! Hinata got out of the car and stretched after he had parked the car successfully, more or less. And now we have to carry our luggage upstairs. Tsukishima opened the trunk. However we want to do that. He stared at all their stuff. We can do this! Yamaguchi jumped out of the car, taking a grumpy Kageyama with him. You're heavy, Yamaguchi, he grumbled. You should thank Hinata and Tsukishima. Yamaguchi grinned and took a suitcase out of the car. Somehow they managed to take all their luggage upstairs, although they must have made a strange picture, packed with all that stuff. They decided that Tsukishima should check them in, because he was the most responsible person of them. He gave them the keys so they could already bring their stuff to the room, while he had to do some paperwork for the receptionist. When he entered the room a few minutes later, he was welcomed by 3 people standing in the doorway, an apologetic look on their face. I think we have a problem, Yamaguchi said quietly, and Hinata burst out laughing. What did you do? Tsukishima sighed. We didn't do anything, Hinata defended them. It's just, I don't think it's exactly what we booked. Tsukishima entered the room. It was smaller than he had imagined it, and there were only 3 beds. Tsukishima entered the room. It was smaller than he had imagined it, and there were only 3... Tsukishima entered the room. Tsukishima entered the room. It was smaller than he had imagined it, and there were only 3 beds. I swear I booked a hotel room for 4 people. Yamaguchi looked frustrated. Tsukishima could see the tears forming in his eyes. Hey, don't freak out. I'm sure it was just a misunderstanding. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. It isn't your fault. Hinata pulled him into a hug. You should go to the reception to clear it up, Tsukishima said. We can go together if you want, Kageyama offered. Yamaguchi got out of Hinata's hug, smiled lightly and nodded. Thanks. Hinata and Tsukishima inspected their room in the meantime. It consisted of a bathroom and 2 other rooms. One big room, where you could enter their apartment, had a sofa with a little TV, a kitchenette, and an old fold bed, and the door to the bathroom. The other room was smaller and only contained a double bed. It doesn't look good, Hinata realized. It was cheap, Tsukishima replied, but I have to agree that I had imagined it more pleasant. That fold bed looks like hell. They looked to the mattress on it that had clearly been folded a lot of times before, and there were 2 major gaps. Bad news, Kageyama said as he and Yamaguchi returned. The receptionist said that this is indeed a 4-person apartment. Apparently the sofa is meant as a bed. What the hell? Tsukishima frowned. I guess we have to take what we have, but hey, at least it was cheap, and we were only gonna sleep here, so it can't be that bad. Hinata tried to lighten the mood. But we have to decide who's gonna sleep where, Yamaguchi said, and they all looked at each other. They had planned on Hinata and Kageyama sleeping in one room, and Tsukishima and Yamaguchi in the other, but now they weren't sure anymore. I think Hinata should sleep on the couch, Tsukishima said after a while. Agreed, said Kageyama, and Yamaguchi nodded. Why? Hinata stared at them in disbelief. You're the smallest, and the sofa's the smallest bed, Tsukishima simply said. I don't want to, it's decided. Moving on, I'm not gonna sleep on the fold bed. Tsukishima turned to Kageyama and Yamaguchi. Me neither, Kageyama said. No one wants to sleep there, Yamaguchi said. I'm gonna sleep in the double bed, Tsukishima said. Why? What did you do to Ich hasse diesen Satz. Why? What did you do to deserve the double... Why? Why? What did you do to deserve the I fucking hate this. Why? What did you do to deserve the double bed? That was not Hinata's voice. Why? Why? What did you do to deserve the double bed? Why? What did you do to... Why? Why? What did you do to deserve the double bed? Why? What did you do to deserve the double bed? Hinata looked at him. I've endured you all the way here, and also I have made sure that we all get here alive. Fair point, Kageyama replied, but I'm definitely not sleeping on that fold bed. I don't want to either, but why don't you just... I fucking hate this. I don't want to either, but why don't you two just... Warum habe ich die ganze Zeit so fucking Zungenbrecher mit reingebracht? I don't want to either, but why don't you two just shut up and both take the double bed? I don't want to either, but why don't you two just shut up and both take the double bed? Yamaguchi decided. Deal. They each settled in on their beds. Yamaguchi decided to put his clothes into the closet in Tsukishima's and Kageyama's room, but Hinata didn't want to. He just wanted to live from a suitcase. They all agreed on not really doing something that evening. It was a long ride and they were all pretty tired. So after dinner, everyone just sat on their beds and eventually got to sleep. Although Kageyama would not admit it, he was glad he got to sleep next to someone. He had not slept good the last nights, and he got the feeling that it would be better if he knew that there was someone... Ich muss mal kurz was ändern und dann den Satz rot machen, damit ich weiß, dass ich das geändert habe. Excuse me for a minute. Okay, again. Although Kageyama would not admit it, he was glad he got to sleep next to someone. He had not slept well the last nights, and he got the feeling that it would be better if he knew that there was someone besides him. Tsukishima, to his own surprise, liked lying next to Kageyama. He was calm at night, and unlike Hinata and Yamaguchi, he didn't kick him. But he still couldn't sleep. He listened to Kageyama's heavy breathing and stared at the ceiling, and then he rolled over to snuggle into Kageyama's back. He could feel him relax and heard his breath slow down. Tsukishima smiled, proud of himself. He often didn't know how to deal with other people's emotion, but this just felt right. And not just because it seemed to comfort Kageyama, but because he could feel himself relax too. But that was something Kageyama didn't need to know. Hopefully he just didn't remember anything in the morning. Tsukishima was about to fall asleep when he heard footsteps coming towards him. Tsuki? Yamaguchi stood in the doorway. What? Can I come to you? The fall bite's really bad. My ass is in one of the gaps and my shoulder in the other. Tsukishima sighed. Come here, he mumbled. Thanks. Tsukishima could almost hear Yamaguchi grinning. He felt something heavy laying on top of him. Yems. Sorry, he giggled. Tsukishima let go of Kageyama so Yamaguchi had some space. He now cuddled with him, who had buried his face in Kageyama's back. Tsukishima didn't mind. He was tired, and as long as he got to sleep, everything was fine. Tsukishima. That was Hinata. Tsukishima groaned. What? He exclaimed. Yamaguchi's got... Oh, he is here. There was a small moment of silence, then Tsukishima felt the bed sank next to him. "Not you too," he mumbled, but he turned to his back so Hinata could use him as a pillow. His other hand found its way to Yamaguchi. There was a rustle when Kageyama turned around. He seemed to finally notice that there were more people than just Tsukishima. He wrapped his body around Yamaguchi and buried his face in his hair. Tsukishima felt someone touch his hand that was in Yamaguchi's hair, and he supposed it was Kageyama. He sighed, but a smile formed on his face. That was going to be an interesting night. When Tsukishima woke up in the morning, he was confused at first. Something heavy laid on top of him, and he couldn't move. Then he remembered the night and opened his eyes. Somehow Hinata had managed to lay completely on top of him, his head not even on Tsukishima's body. Yamaguchi laid in Tsukishima's arms. He had turned over in his sleep. His hand was intertwined with Hinata's, and his other hand was in some weird angle still on Kageyama's back, who had turned away from them. Tsukishima supposed that he needed some personal space, and he himself wouldn't mind either. But Yamaguchi and Hinata didn't seem to be awake, and he didn't want to wake them up. He knew that Yamaguchi wasn't a morning person. Fuck. But Yamaguchi and Hinata didn't seem to be awake, and he didn't want to wake them up. He knew that Yamaguchi wasn't a morning person. He was not quite sure about Hinata. He had always had... Fuck! But Yamaguchi and... No, again, stop. But Yamaguchi and Hinata didn't seem to be awake, and he didn't want to wake them up. He knew that Yamaguchi wasn't a morning person. He was not quite sure about Hinata. He always had the impression of him being awake early and being way too energetic. But right now he was dead asleep. Tsukishima could even hear a little snore. What was this What even was this here? He didn't go on vacations to cuddle with his friends, and he definitely didn't want to be their pillow. But he must admit that he did like it. He somehow loved the smell of Hinata's hair, and although he could barely feel his limbs anymore, he liked having people lay beside him. However, he did not like it at the Wait a minute. However, he did not like it at the moment. He really had to pee, and he was stuck in the middle of the bed. How the hell did they even got into this position? Although Tsukishima really wanted his peace in the morning, he decided to just get up. He tried to untangle himself without waking anyone up, but he eventually gave up, and so he just kind of threw Hinata onto Yamaguchi. Tsukishima stood up and went to the bathroom. Finally, he was free. He could hear their complaining even before he entered the room again. "Hinata, how can it be that otherwise you would literally jump out of bed in the mornings, but as soon as I'm involved you become a morning grouch?" Tsukishima stood in the doorway and watched Hinata strangling Yamaguchi, who made indefinable noises. "You're comfortable," the muffled answer came from the direction of the bed. Tsukishima sighed. "Then get up now. Didn't we have like a lot of plans for today?" "I'm staying in bed," Kageyama muttered. "Yamaguchi almost kicked me out of the bed tonight. I need some peace." "I'm sorry." Yamaguchi snickered and freed himself from Hinata's attack to give Kageyama an apologetic cuddle. "You should apologize too." Hinata sat up and looked at "You should apologize too." Hinata sat up and looked at Tsukishima. "You literally You should apologize too." "You should apologize too." Hinata sat up and looked at Tsukishima. "You literally threw me at Yamaguchi." "Not my problem," Tsukishima replied. "I wasn't the one who used me as the pillow." Hinata pouted and Tsukishima stepped towards his friend. He leaned down. Hinata already had a scared face, but Tsukishima just gave him a forehead kiss. "Is this enough for an apology?" he asked. Hinata's face turned red, and Tsukishima had the feeling that he didn't function anymore. A smirk crossed his face. Yamaguchi looked at him with widened eyes, and Tsukishima gave him and Kageyama each a kiss too. He didn't know what made him do it. His heart was racing, but he just stood up again and left his puzzled friends to themselves. And as he left the room, a sudden thought crossed his mind. He loved them. All of them.